Buddha jumps away, unable to read its movements, and he wonders what's going on. The demon explains that Zero is no more, and he introduces himself as Papayas, the Demon King. Buddha wonders what he wants, and Papayas isn't sure, but says he wants to test out his power. Ares asks Hermes about Papayas, but even he doesn't know anything. Hades suddenly joins them, saying Papayas isn't a god, as Ares quickly gives up his chair for him. Hades reveals that Papayas is a legendary berserker from the underworld, which is where the damned run rampant. He tells them that despite being the king of the underworld, he has never seen Papayas before, and he wonders why a god would turn into him. Buddha starts fighting with Papayas, but it seems he can no longer predict his movements. Hilda notes that Buddha's eyes allow him to see the flickers of the soul, which moves before the body, but Papayas' soul is total darkness, so he can't see anything. Papayas decides to fight with his full power, flexing his arm as he turns his weapon into a drill. He charges at Buddha, who tries to defend with his shield, but the drill penetrates right through, taking out Buddha's eye. Papayas is impressed he was able to dodge the attack, because he was aiming for the head. He transforms his arm into an axe, and he continues his assault. They continue to exchange blows, and Buddha ends up taking another hit. Ares wonders how Papayas is so strong, and Hades states that no ordinary god can hold a candle to him. He reveals that Papayas once destroyed half of the underworld, and the destruction only stopped because he suddenly vanished. But it was something that occurred centuries before Hades became the king, and he never believed the story. He thinks Papayas is there because someone must have obtained a fragment of him and created something like a seed, which was then planted on Zero. Ares wonders who would do such a thing, and Hades thinks there's only one god who would enjoy such a thing. Hermes knows he's talking about Beelzebub, who would have done it just to see what would happen, saying anyone could have been the vessel. Buddha tries to counterattack, but he gets stabbed in the foot. He falls back, but his injuries are starting to take a toll on him. He calls on Zero, thinking he's still somewhere inside, but Papayas laughs, saying he has already consumed Zero and turned him into nourishment. Buddha declares he will kill Papayas, as he feels hatred for the first time in centuries, causing his weapon to transform into a scythe. Papayas is unfazed, eager to take him on, and Buddha strikes first, but Papayas manages to block his attack. Buddha pushes him back, creating an opening, and his scythe expels fire to boost his speed as he tries to finish him off. But Papayas ends up blocking it with his arm, and Buddha is the one who gets stabbed. Papayas wonders if he has any last words, but Buddha gets closer, saying he'll be the one to save mankind. Papayas finds him dangerous, kicking him away, and Buddha is badly injured, but he refuses to give up, calling Papayas a chicken. Papayas tells him to know his place, saying he has become a supreme being, because unlike before, when his body couldn't handle his strength, he now has a stronger vessel, so he's confident in his power. But Buddha calls him weak, saying that he is even weaker than Zero. Papayas charges at him, telling him to prove it as he launches an assault on Buddha. Ares wonders if this is the end for him, but Hades tells him to look at Buddha's eyes, because he still hasn't given up, and Zeus knows he's just waiting for a chance to turn the tables. Buddha gets knocked back, but he stays on his feet, and Papayas wonders how he's still standing. Buddha tells him to bring it on, which scares Papayas as his hands start shaking. He refuses to accept this, ripping off his arm to conquer his fear, and he turns it into a sword. Buddha charges with his scythe, but Papayas counters with his own skill, breaking the scythe. The weapon returns to its original form, and Papayas rushes at him, ultimately destroying Buddha's staff. It looks like the end for Buddha, and Papayas goes in for the kill, but at that moment, he gets a vision where he sees light behind him, and as he reaches out to it, there's a hand that grabs onto him. Buddha regains consciousness, and he suddenly starts laughing. Papayas thinks he has lost his mind, but as Buddha gets back up, he says he has overcome his immaturity. His hairband breaks, causing him to take on a new appearance, and he takes Zero's weapon, telling Zero they will fight together, as he activates the Valander technique. Hilda cries as she realizes the weapon is absorbing Buddha's love instead of misfortune, turning it into a new divine treasure. The weapon takes the form of a strange sword, and it has the power of the 7 gods of fortune. Buddha goes toe-to-toe with Papayas, and humanity cheers for him with everything they have. Their desires flow into him, giving him strength, as Papayas wonders how he can keep fighting despite his condition. Buddha parries his attack, and they both land a hit on each other, but Kojiro thinks the odds are against Buddha since he's already taken too much damage. Papayas attacks with his skill, damaging Buddha as he blocks it, but Buddha manages to parry, creating an opening, and he lands a counterattack. Papayas can't believe his strongest attack was stopped, but we see the gods mentioning that Buddha won't be able to block the attack again, but Hades says he just needs to dodge. We see Papayas launching a barrage of attacks, but it seems Buddha can now dodge. Because of Papayas' fear, Buddha can now see the flickers of his soul, allowing him to dodge the attacks. Papayas becomes frustrated, unable to land a hit, so he uses his ultimate skill, slicing Buddha in half. Everyone is shocked seeing this, and Papayas thinks he has finally won, but Buddha's body disappears, and he reappears behind him. He lands a decisive blow, slicing Papayas into pieces, as humanity celebrates the victory. Papayas refuses to accept defeat, trying to attack once more, but before he can hit him, his soul shatters. Buddha sees Zero's soul smiling at him as he joins the 7 gods of fortune, ascending to the sky, and Buddha says farewell to him. Buddha is announced as the winner of the match, and humanity cheers for him as he leaves the arena. Hilda and Gaul rush to him, celebrating his victory, but he suddenly collapses from his injuries. He receives medical attention, and he reminds Hilda not to be so serious all the time.